Greetings. Okay. Hey, Friendpreneurs, everyone. We are so happy to be here. Welcome to the premiere episode of Friendpreneur Fiyah podcast Unbound. I am your host, Tiffany Bargeman, CEO, founder of Friendpreneurship LLC. And this podcast is a product of Friendpreneurship, or Visionaries Supporting Visionaries. This is a business support service that builds community by connecting entrepreneurs through targeted networking and live storytelling events. And we do this so that entrepreneurs can learn from each other and have a better chance at succeeding in business. So this podcast is going to give a platform for a unique storytelling experience through an interview with entrepreneurs on a regular basis. So I have a guest with me tonight. I'm going to introduce you in just a moment, but I want to quote Simon Sinek. He is an inspirational speaker and author who has said something that resonates with me about entrepreneurship or people as consumers. So he says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And this resonates with me because it's part of who I am. When I make a purchase, whether it's a product or service, I'm looking for something special in that to let me know that I haven't wasted my money. Something that lets me know the person who's selling it to me, a product or a service, cares either about me as I spend my money or about the experience that I'm going to have, as well as the experience that they have had serving, producing. So that's why I'm doing this podcast. Tonight, we have a special guest, Cornelius Kirk, who I consider to be a new friendpreneur. And a friendpreneur is a friendly entrepreneur who isn't afraid to bring others along for success. So I only know you for not even 2 weeks, maybe.
maybe 2 weeks.
But there is a connection here because I feel like you, after hearing what friendpreneurship is all about, feel that spirit. And as a mindset coach, we'll get into that later, we kind of have some things in common when it comes to mindset and being on the up and up with that. So just tell me a little bit, how are you doing today? And then we're going to pause for a second to introduce our sponsor.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me on your platform.
Yes.
That means the world to me. I know this is your baby, so I know it's important. I'm doing fantastic today. As I was telling you earlier, we just got done filming. So anytime I get to walk in that space, I leave and I'm like so excited because it's like another thing we got to do, improve ourselves. And our guests, everything just aligns so beautifully today. So
good. And it was beautiful outside if you were
out.
So
nice out. So nice out.
Gracious. Who knows what's next in North Carolina? We know how that goes. Okay, so we do have a sponsor for this podcast, and I'm going to share that with you now. So our sponsor this evening is Touch of Sam. And Touch of Sam is a full-service boutique spa offering skincare, body massage, body rituals, infrared sauna sessions, foot treatments, gift cards, and more. And I am a customer. I am a friendpreneur of Samantha Reagan. She is the owner of this Black-owned, woman-owned business. And we went to high school together. I am definitely a massage customer. She has put me to sleep on that table more than once. And I am excited to share her information here. So if you want to get in touch with Sam for a massage or foot treatment or whatever, you can definitely reach out to her. I'm sharing her website information up here on the screen. Let's take this down. Okay. Yep. All right. So her phone number is there. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at www.touchofsam.com. That's her website. And tell everybody you know about it. I'm telling you personally how good she is. So I hope that you will promote, support, and repeat. Thank you very much. All right. One more thing before we move into our interview. I want to let you guys know that we have an opportunity for you to support Friendpreneurship. The events that we have on a monthly basis are to, again, bring entrepreneurs together to learn, be inspired, and make meaningful connections. So anytime you're feeling like you want to support us, you can do that via the PayPal link that I have set before you. Okay, so let's talk to Mr. Kirk. All right. First, again, thank you for joining, because I know Sunday evenings are probably a time when we want to be relaxing, feet kicked up. We've done a lot. We got a reset for the week. So I do not take it lightly that you are here sharing this time with me. Okay. So while we are here, as people may be joining, I just want to pop a question in this chat while you tell us a little bit about yourself, because I see you're from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Now you're in North Carolina. So let's talk about what brings you to North Carolina.
So born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I always say Kalamazoo made me, because it's not the easiest place to be raised, but a lot of the things I learned there stick with me today, especially how to treat people, because you had to be respectful there or you might have problems. I moved to North Carolina in 2009, really just in search of a better life. My son was 16 at the time, and he was really having some issues in Michigan, and it was either get him out or who knows what. So we Googled best places to live. And at the time, Raleigh was like number 3. That's where we're going. And we relocated. And, a lot of fear around that, because Kalamazoo was home. And I thought, it was comfortable. It was my comfort zone. But I wish I would have moved years before that. And people that moved from there all say the same thing. I wish I would have made that move 10, 15 years before that. But I'm glad I'm here.
Raleigh seems to be a magnet. People keep coming and they have their reasons, but it's still growing today. So many people are moving here. I grew up here, so I can understand the appeal. It's a wonderful place to be. Let's just get right into it, because time flies. Tell us what catapulted you into entrepreneurship, and then just tell us a bit about your why. I want to go through some of the things that I've been seeing on your online presence on various sites, Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot. There are ways that you refer to yourself, your brand, and your business. And I want to just unpack them a little bit. I'm going to run down the list and you can pick where you want to start. Okay. So, fatherhood specialist, wellness advocate, accountability coach, mindset coach, limitless coaching sessions are available. You're an owner at You Matter 2 LLC, a community leader at YM4C. Wellness is the new cool is your mantra, it seems. You're a real estate investor and co-owner host at Bro Coach Show. There's so much there. So
that's
would you
lot,
consider
right?
yourself a serialpreneur? Yeah,
that's a lot, right? So thank you for so let's put it all and condense it all into how it works. Okay. So your first question earlier was why entrepreneurship? And I'm going to say this because of corporate spaces. Anybody who, and I'm not against working for someone else. If it makes sense, and if I could go back, I probably would have done it differently when I left. But we're here now. There's just something about building something that I feel like is mine. That's just so important to me. When I worked in corporate spaces, I'm full of ideas, very, very creative and innovative. And they would just take all my ideas and monetize them. And there was just something, it just didn't sit well with me. So I think when that started to happen, I say, hey, like, why not do that for yourself?
Right.
And so let's say that's where I'm at. Now, as in some of the things you mentioned, the fatherhood thing, I get pulled on a lot. And so Wake County, I was actually working with Wake County. They pull on me to do those kinds of things. And I was doing workshops for them. And I'm okay with that because it was something that I was going to learn at too. And I can wear multiple hats. And so that's what so the line of what you talked about is all the multiple hats I wear. Now, the coaching to me is all the same. The coaching is something where you're trying to help somebody. If they're here, you're trying to get them to here in the future and get out of their own way. And so whether that's mindset coaching or limitless coaching or whatever it is, it's all kind of the same for people, helping them see what they can't see.
That makes sense. So when it comes to your personal brand, I'm assuming that's a common denominator. All of these different places where you have your hands busy, there is something that drives you and moves you forward in these different areas, but for a similar reason. What might that be?
So my why is there's layers to it. One of the biggest ones is people said I couldn't do it. I remember
Mm,
being young and having all these ideas, and you're having teachers say that's not realistic. Pick something more realistic. And I think
yeah.
it started back then.
Mm,
Like, wait a minute, who are you to tell me what I can't be?
right.
And so that's part of it. Another part of it is I want to make my family proud. I
Mhm.
grew up with a single mom, but I also grew up in the same household with my grandmother, and she was very, very involved in my life. Praying grandmother. You know what that looks like,
I do.
and she was just, she did so much with so little. And rest in peace. She passed away last year, but I say this, that I'm standing on her shoulders. So this is
Yeah.
not about me. It's not about fancy cars and fancy trips. It's
Mhm.
about paying her back for that sacrifice. And
Mhm.
that means the world to me. And not just her, my mom and my family, my whole family. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, family usually plays a big part shaping us, molding us in one way or the other into what we're going to be. And as entrepreneurs, it's nice to have someone in your corner who is pushing you and planting those foundational ideas in your mind. You don't even realize it when it's happening as you're growing up in those formative years, but it's being instilled. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Bro Code Media.
Okay.
Um, I've seen it referenced as Brocode TV Productions. I've seen Brocode Media. What's the difference there?
Same. So we only call it Broco TV. It's really Broco Media. Broco TV Productions is what we needed for YouTube.
Okay.
As in, so that's the way we had to word it on there for it to be left alone. So that's what we
Oh,
did. But it's all media. So we started on Father's Day in 2020 because of the pandemic,
yeah.
and we literally, like, we're running a nonprofit, which we'll talk about later. We're running a nonprofit, and all of a sudden, no, we're not. You're at home. How do we stay
Hmm.
connected with each other and with these kids we're serving? So then we jumped on StreamYard and started our own thing, of which we're on right now, which it reminds me so much of when we first started 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and that's where it started. And we did. We're up to like 200 shows now,
Hmm.
but we probably did 25 on StreamYard during the pandemic, and then switched into going live.
Okay. And what was that original episode about?
The first episode was, who was it? Ooh, taking me back. It was
Oh,
Delon Fletcher. It was
oh.
Delon Fletcher. He was the first guest. Who he's a homie. He's a big homie.
Mhm.
He's a pastor. He's a community leader. And I still remember it. I think he brought his kids onto the show, in the screen. So yeah, it was all about community.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice starting at home. When you're starting a business, the supporters are usually the friends and family, people in your immediate circle, and the ones that believe in you. They
Yeah.
pour into you this way and offer their time. That's a beautiful thing, I think. How did you become a co-owner of Brocode Media?
So let's circle back to before the start.
Yeah.
We've been running a nonprofit, YM4C, which you asked about, for 7 years. Me, Troy, and JC. Well, all three of us were the ones who also pivoted into creating Broco Media. And so
Mhm.
there's a three-part ownership. We're all the hosts, but we also own equal parts in the business.
Okay.
And so that's how we structured the business.
Okay. Cool. Cool. What's it like working with? Would you consider them friends, colleagues, associates, all of the above? And what's it like working with different personalities?
That's such a great question. Yes,
Mhm.
I don't think I want to build a business with somebody I'm not friends with. I don't think I would. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yes, we're friends. We finish each other's sentences. We're around each other 5 days a week.
Mhm.
So, like, hours. And I just got off the phone with Troy, and we were on the phone. I just left him from filming. And then he calls me, and all the way from Durham, which is an hour and 15 minutes away, I'm on the phone with him talking about this week. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. Got to spend that time. Okay. So when it comes to the mission and the vision of Brocode Media, now I remember you talking a little bit about starting in the pandemic, and you've got a fatherhood. You talked about the nonprofit. Um, do you want to just state the mission of Brocode Media?
Yep, it's very simple: to use our voices,
Hmm.
and allow other people to do the same thing. And that literally is it. And that's why when you bring somebody on your platform, for instance, the two people that were on today, they said that we do testimonies at the end of the show, ask them how their experience was. And the exact thing gets said, and these people don't hear the old ones, so they don't know. This felt so natural. It felt like we were just hanging out with our family. That every time. And so when you can allow people who haven't naturally always used their voice to actually do that, they're going to fall in love with that platform. And that's what's happening time and time again.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. When people get comfortable, everybody's not comfortable in front of a camera, right? But if you can make them feel like you said, you're just having a chat with friends, all of that kind of melts away, and real, genuine, good conversations come out of those scenarios. So it's nice that you can do that with your show. So when we're talking about creativity, I want to know if you can give us some insight. I know you've got partners and you have to be mindful, but a little insight behind the creative process. When you guys are thinking of show topics, when you're thinking of people to feature on this platform, what comes to mind and what framework might you follow creatively?
So as a great question, I think as a startup, you want to have a framework or a system, but you don't always have it figured out because you're doing multiple things. I mean, you just are, and that's the phase of a season we're in. But the framework for us is we just mastermind with each other. So to give you an example, today we were talking with both women, and they mentioned dating being an issue for successful women. Have you experienced that? Right? That's a real thing.
Yes.
And so right there was a show idea. And now, as soon as they said it, I knew we're about to talk about battle of the sexes. It's coming already. I already saw it in my head the moment they both said it. And so now we're already an hour into planning that show out, that live show out, intimate show out with comedy and music and food. And then we're going to talk about this thing. Like, is Cheesecake Factory really okay for first dates? Right? Like, what does that look like? Can I right. They were like, oh my God, we can't wait for this. So not only did they come to be on the show, but we grabbed them and said, we want you to be on the panel for this event. And they were like, yeah, naturally. And so now I see a room filled with at least 100 people, which I think that's a good number. And so again, you asked about being creative. It's just hearing things and feeling it. And that's what happened today.
Well, okay, that's a good segue to your brand and the real, authentic, genuine, no elephants in the room conversations that you initiate on social media. The questions that you raise, I'm drawn to them because I hate elephants in rooms. I loathe wasted time that comes from those elephants in the rooms. You lose time for love. You lose time for productivity. Valuable things are wasted when there are elephants in rooms. Just talk about it. It's not always easy to have a conversation about a hard topic, but in my experience, once it's done, the relief that you feel and being able to move forward because of it makes it worth all the little hard feelings that you had, during that time when you were having a conversation. Talk about your brand. And I'm not sure, you have to school me here because this is my first experience with StreamYard. Is it going to cut me off at 20 minutes? Because this is just now getting where I want to have some good conversation.
No, I don't think, it's been a minute. All right. So it's been like a couple of years minute. I don't think so.
Well, we're at 1909 right now. And if in fact it cuts us off at 20, we're just gonna have to continue our conversation another time. But in the next few, just tell us what makes you so comfortable having the hard conversations.
So I wasn't that way. And it was one day I had like that Saw the Paul moment where just the light bulb went off. And I said, wait a minute, if I win being something that I'm not, I'm not going to stay in that space. So if I win being a people pleaser or doing what everybody else wants me to do, I can't all of a sudden get there and change. Or that's the person that they voted for. And so I just said, wait a minute, I'm going to be me. And I'm going to win being me. And if that means it takes me a year, 5 years longer, right? So
when did that happen, Cornelius?
Oh, wow. So it's been a journey. It's still happening. So here's the thing I tell people all the time. because I hear this question. The question you're talking about, what the things I post, I get
Mm-hmm.
DMs all the time, especially from men. They don't want to comment on my page. They'll DM me and say, "Hey, bro, how are you so authentic? What do I have to lose? Who do I have to hide from? Why do I care what they think?"
Mm-hmm.
And I started just really asking myself those questions probably in 2018. So started going to therapy and all the things. And it was like I shed off the
Mm-hmm.
old me and became this new person, this new version. And I just literally lean into it and practice it. And people, it's so safe and it's so endearing because it's so rare.
Yes.
So people love it. And I allow people, like you said, to talk about those elephant conversations without feeling like, oh my God, he's going to come down on me. No, I'm not. Let's talk about it.
Right.
That way
Let's
we
just
can
talk.
cut to the chase. I don't want to waste a year with you playing the feelings game. Let's just talk about it. What should be, what topic should be off the table? None.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. All the time that's wasted. Like I said, I do not like waste. So I think I had a wake-up call around the same time. It was 2018, 19. I was going through some transition, losing my father, a manager that had been with me a long time, and another relationship. Things were just kind of, it was a triple whammy.
Yeah.
And I was just having some moments where I was like, I'm tired of people pleasing. I'm tired of not being who I am, because around 40 years old, I started realizing who I was, but I was still in a place where I wasn't always myself because I was trying to please other people. That is a coming of age thing, I think, that makes me really love being in my 40s, because having come to that place and being in this space and enjoying it so much, the authenticity, the freedom of it.
Yeah.
And even though people might not want to hear those hard things, and everybody is not in that same space where they want to have those conversations, but I'm not one of small talk. So when I meet people like you and you're willing to have conversations like that, I'm drawn in, because this is like food. It's like sustenance. Real good conversation to me. Communication is
So you're
energizing.
saying like, don't come to me talking about how's the weather.
I don't care about that. We can talk about that.
You can see the weather out there. Come on. But yes.
Right. Yeah. Get all that weather stuff.
So one of the shirts I used to wear all the time was called "What's One Life," and I'm really big on time. My time is I can't replace it.
Right.
So I meet people where they are with this conversation, this communication thing, because not everybody's on that. However, I'm probably not, if they're not on that or coming that way, I'll probably catch you on the flip side, because I got something to do, and time is of the essence. And it's not about, like, again, it's not about feelings
at all. And I'm a emotional person. I have feelings, but around that time period I was telling you about, I was learning how to process those feelings. It's okay to feel, because we are made in the image of God. He has emotions. We have emotions. So it's okay to have feelings, but what are you going to do with them? And what are you going to do about things that made you have those feelings? It's okay to go through, and this is what I learned in therapy myself. There is a way to process your feelings or emotions. So you feel them, actually do, sit with them, and then you ask yourself, what am I feeling? Or try to articulate it. I am feeling happy. I am feeling angry. I am feeling sad because, and then identify the trigger. This is why. And then state the facts. Because once you have felt, identified the trigger, there's a truth behind it, right? You might have been triggered by something, but what is the fact of the matter? Yes, your feeling was that, but what's the truth? And that forces you to think it through.
Well, I love the last word you just talked about was the truth. People don't like hearing the truth. Now, I'm not saying my truth is your truth, but they don't like there are some things that are just true. And if we could just cut to the chase, we can do so much, especially in collaboration.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the feelings, once you get through them, you can stay stuck in them and ignore the truth. Or you can go ahead and acknowledge the truth and move forward and past, and then there's action to take.
Well, for me, my goal is freedom. Feelings, I can't catch feelings. Feelings are not getting me closer to, and I know it's a part of the human experience and the relationships, and I get all that. And I think I do very well at not being direct without hurting feelings. But at the same time, Usually it is what it is. And so I'm gonna call a thing, and I'm gonna say it. I'm always respectful, but this is what it is. And so how we handle it will let me know if we're gonna work together in the future, or we're gonna be in the same circles in the future. And if not, that's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, you've heard it a million times. What? Everybody can't go.
Right. And truth is a filter. It's a filter that kind of weeds out those who can't go. Because if you are on that path and you know what you want for your future and it involves authenticity and truth, it's okay for them to get caught in that filter and stay. At least in my world. Not always easy.
So a major part of what we do is focused on youth and empowering them. And one of the biggest things is, for me at least, is when I'm in spaces with them, adults afterwards, is like, how do you get them to open up? They never talk to us like that. We've been with them for a year. You've been in there for 7 minutes and they've told you their life story. And I was like, well, it's very easy. I just ask them what's important and I let them talk about it. I don't tell them what to do. I don't tell them what I think is right. I want to hear their voice. And they're always, and it's always, kids always say the same thing. You mean you care what I think? Yeah, I care what you think. The funny part about that is adults are the same way. Yeah, they don't get to hear use their voice either in spaces. And you work in corporate, you don't get to, you can't just walk in those rooms and using your voice to some level. So it's just it's a secret. There's some secret sauces out there, and that's definitely one of them, is letting people use their voice.
Yeah, and people want to be acknowledged. It's not even that you have to agree with them. They just want their voices to be heard and acknowledged. So that's a good way to segue to this next question. We talked about your personal brand, the strategies. Okay, so when you're engaging your audience, you just talked about bringing that information out of people by asking them, what they think. But when it comes to a sense of community and connection, the people that you're in touch with to bring onto your show, to share their voices, that circle that you're in, how do you keep the momentum going so that, okay, I know the next show is going to be about this and we can next tap into this area or whatever? How do you keep that momentum going so you always have some new creative juices flowing?
Great question. So when we first started, one of our biggest things was always getting the referral from the guests. So as long as we give off and have an excellent show, why would you not? If I say, hey, Tiffany, did you enjoy yourself? You're like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. Well, who do you know that would want that same experience? And then boom. And then we just keep. Now, on the side note of that, we'll always do, like right now, we're focusing on wellness. So that's very easy to go out and get there. We're doing therapists right now. Okay. So that's just one, that's a bucket. But then we're also doing community spotlights for people who are doing great things in the community. That's a whole nother bucket. And then there's the Bro Code show itself. So we're never going to let ourselves be one thing. And then it's also like, oh, we don't want to hear this anymore. It's just the same show. No, you never. And then we film in different spaces. So today we were in Durham. Yesterday we were filming in Fenton and Cary. And you never know where we're going to be. So it keeps it fresh for our viewers.
Yeah. And I like what you said about asking that, or the people that are involved, if they have ideas for what's next, who else might enjoy the experience. Birds of a feather flock together. It is cliche, but it is true. And I'm finding that throughout this entrepreneurial journey, whoever I meet, and it starts with the people I trust, right? They're going to say, talk to this person about that. Or this person here has some ideas. You should tap into it. Every time I meet someone new, I get something from that person that I can use to keep moving forward, right? And to elevate my business. So it only makes sense to ask those people in your circle to start, and then it grows exponentially from there. And you can trust, for the most part, the network that you're in. You can trust the birds that are flocking together. So I like the idea of that. And that's what I do when I have these forums every month, try to find a way to see where our visions intersect, whoever's in that room, and go from there, because it's just going to keep getting better and better. Yeah.
What I mean, that now there's no vetting. You don't have to vet. If for instance, if Kimberly sends you somebody, I don't gotta go check their references. She's not sending no cool butts in my platform. So, and that's the model that we've used to now have corporate partnerships. Now, if you'd have told me or asked me when we started this on StreamYard, if we'd be shooting with it, if we'd have a partnership with the American Cancer Society, I'd be like, no, no way. But that's where we're at. And that's not the only one. And it's not, and it's not, and doors keep opening because we're doing right by them. Well, they don't mind sharing.
And it's not even about favoritism or nepotism. It is about collaboration. It is about working together so that we get there, not necessarily faster, but in better condition. And the exponential growth is just amazing. And it's a process, though. It's baby steps, but it's good.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up. So the young lady that came and viewed, we had an audience today at our podcast, but she brought 2 young men with her that we didn't know. And she's like, I want y'all to meet. And as soon as we met them, I'm really big. I read the room very well. I can just tell if you good folks, there's an energy that comes off. It just is. But we started talking with these guys, and there's so much intersection of what we're doing. And he was like, yo, I know a couple people that I definitely need you to meet. Now I'm 5 minutes in talking to him. Yeah. So again, that's what happens when you invite people to the room. And we're all like, yo, I'm like, he's like, well, how do you do this? Here. I don't own this information. I don't need to. I've already mastered this. Y'all use it. It's going to work for y'all too. And that's how you win. You just help each other.
Yeah. And something is always come from it. Always.
The world is abundant. And I tell this to people all the time, it's an abundant. So if you know this already, if you reach out to me and I can help or I have information, I'm giving it to you.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, you kind of get a feeling. You can read the room, you get a feeling. So when I'm in touch with people, I get a feeling of whether or not they're going to be a friendpreneur or whether they are a friendpreneur naturally. The ones who aren't afraid to bring others along for success, you get a feeling. So I'm going, and it's a good feeling. It's not, one of those things that are fly by night or shouldn't go with your gut, but you get the feeling because it's a shared spirit. And if you have it, you do. If you don't, you don't.
You're right. Okay. You asked me a question about brand that I really never answered.
Okay, go back.
But when you talk about expressing your why so they buy, I've been in sales since I was like 12. Literally, whether that's just selling candy in 5th grade and doubling and tripling my money and then going back and re-up and not spending the money. That's how I learned sales, as in buying non-laters from the candy store for a dime. And because there was scarcity in the classroom, I was the only one with surplus, right? So I can charge whatever I want. So them non-layers, them non-layers might be $3 a pack, and I only paid $10. I'm serious. And so it started there, but I went into leadership and sales leadership because I'm really about developing people, and that's where the coaching comes in. I really like seeing people like win and get better, feel so you can heal, like get through the stuff and let go so you can win at this life thing. I love seeing people win. And so, but my brand, I am my brand. There is no product in me. They're the same. I'm integrated so much that when somebody says, like, for instance, JC wore a You Matter shirt today. Now I have You Matter tattooed on my arm right here. He knows that. But he comes in and he unzips his jacket and he's like, look, you like it? And he's like, it says You Matter. So he knows. Yeah. That's my brand. And it happens all the time. Now, now I'm gonna say this about social media. I'm a very introverted guy. Now you would never people say, no, you're not. No, yeah, I am. And so in person, people are coming up to me and say, hey, aren't you that person? But they recognize you either because of what I'm wearing or because of my face. But like, I get comfortable with that now because I'm very private. But I'm my brand. My brand goes with me everywhere I go.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we have gone way over our time. I don't want to tax your time on this Sunday night. I could talk a long time. We could keep going, but I don't want to do that to you or the viewers. So I want to see what you would like to share in the way of advice for entrepreneurs. Okay. So what advice would you give aspiring Black entrepreneurs looking to venture into the media production industry, those who are interested in creating content that represents and uplifts underrepresented communities?
That's great. Number one, turn your camera on. Your phone is a camera. It's media. Everything that you do, no matter what, like I sometimes just turn my tripod on and record what I'm doing in the room. That's content. I can cut it up. I can turn it in what I want to, but get out of the fear that I'm scared of the camera or that my story doesn't matter, because it does. And it's going to resonate with somebody, especially if you've overcome something like a lot of us have. That's going to resonate with somebody who's still in that space or going into that space. But for entrepreneurs, and this is a mindset thing, is I really believe there's nothing that can stop me. Like literally. And so then when I do have a barrier or entry point that doesn't seem right, I got to go over it, under it, around it, but it's not stopping me because I have people counting on me. Right. Whether that's myself, first of all, let's start God, myself, my family, and my community. And all of those parts are an ecosystem of why I cannot fail. Right. And so you just have to have the proper mindset and the proper people around you.
I'm putting that in the comments. Believe that nothing can stop you. I think that's what I'm gathering from what you just said.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So I would like to thank you for being on this podcast, for helping me to launch. And the reason this podcast is happening tonight, you have a lot to do with it. And I'm grateful because, like I said before, every time I have an interaction with someone, I leave with an action item, right? And the action item from you was go ahead and do it. Someone else had mentioned, get back on the videos, do more of that. And I was putting it on my to-do list and it was going further and further down the list, but you were the third person. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And before that weekend was over, I'd already started some stuff. So I thank you for putting fire under my feet and making me take my next step. I think that's what it's all about, keeping us motivated.
I want you to think about something. I don't want to look over this. And I tell everybody this, I post a lot because it's free. It's a commercial for my business that I don't pay for. So why would I not post 12 times a day? I have content. I probably have 2 years of content in my phone. I can go back and use content from 3 years ago. Nobody knows the difference. But right now, I tell people, do 20-second videos and let people hear your heart and hear your voice and hear who you are, and they will support you. If it's pure, they'll support you. They will.
Yes. And it will be organic growth and organic community that's being built.
Say the word again, organic. Stop trying to force everything and buy it. I don't want none of that. I want people around me that want to be around me.
Right. So, and those who do get your message, they will flock to you. And that's the growth that you want, their networks. Yeah. It's beautiful. Okay. So anything else you want to mention before I go into my final announcements?
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me be on your platform.
Absolutely. All right. So before we wrap up, I just want to mention that Friendpreneurship is having a conference on November 11th at 12 noon to 3 p.m. Friendpreneurship will be in North Carolina, just about 50 minutes or so from Raleigh. And the Seven Springs Farms and Vineyards team is co-hosting this Friendpreneurship conference with us. I'm excited because this is our first quarterly conference. We are working with the Seven Springs team to bring business knowledge to entrepreneurs who are willing to come and learn, share, and network. They're going to share their experience from 45 years in business. And when you've been in business that long, you have had some ups, you've had downs, you have lessons learned, you have wins. And if you're willing to share that with other people from an authentic place, they can't do anything but grow from that experience. So I'm appreciative. I'm grateful to the Seven Springs team, Preston Williams Jr. and his family. They have this beautiful farm and vineyard out in North Carolina. So we're excited to go. The tickets are on Eventbrite. Friendpreneurship is on Linktree, and everything you need to know about Friendpreneurship is there, including the events that we have, how to get your tickets, where to follow us online, how to join our private Facebook group to promote, support, and repeat. We're here to support one another. So I just wanted to mention that. If you have any questions, you can always send an email to friendpreneurship@gmail.com. You can schedule a talk with Tiff. That's also on the Linktree, and we can have a conversation about where our visions intersect. So I appreciate anyone who joined tonight, and I'm excited about what's next. So I appreciate you too. Cornelius, thank you so much for joining and sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.